Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This video we are looking at the first look for NFL week number 2 already. 1 week is in the books. A lot has happened across the league. I hope you guys all had a good week 1. Had a great week on Sunday. Put up a 187 on the main slate on Draftkings, a 163 on Fanduel. The other Sunday slates cashed. The full slates of showdowns did not. But yeah, definitely if you use the picks or even if you use the core, you had a great day because the lineups that I came across for the main slates were straight from the core video that I put up on Friday. Sam Howell, Austin Eckler, Aaron Jones, studs at receiver with Tyreek Hill. Justin Jefferson, value, 2% owned. He was in the core play. Tutu Atwell, $3,000. Higbee, Reed, and the Panthers. And then on FanDuel, pay went down with Richardson. It was cheaper than Howell. Same running backs, same receiving core. Same thing for everybody else except for the Rams. Defense was the only difference. So a great start to the season. Let's keep it going. As always, enjoy the videos. Appreciate it. If the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. If you want the full picks for the Sunday, this is the website link is in the description. And let's get started. So first thing I want to take a look at is the Vegas totals for this week. A lot of good games. There's probably going to be a lot more higher scoring affairs. You have a lot of teams, especially that are coming off disappointing weeks. You expect them to rebound, like the Eagles, like the Bengals. But looking at the implied totals, so you got the Jags-Chiefs game. That's going to be a prime one to target stacking-wise. We have the Lions-Seahawks. I like the Lions side. Seahawks coming off of a disappointing loss, too. They should look to put up some points, and the Lions' defense is still going to be prone to some plays. They did do a decent job against Patrick Mahomes, but it was also that Mahomes' receivers were not doing him any favors, especially Kadarius Toney, and they didn't have Travis Kelce, obviously. The Bills coming in on a bit of a short week, going up against the Raiders. I mean, this one's all right, but I'll definitely like the first two ones to target. This game, Dallas should just crush the Jets. Bengals-Ravens is going to be a sneaky one. You got both teams, especially the Bengals. Obviously, they'll put up the worst week 1 performance out of anybody that expected them to do well. Maybe the Giants you could consider, but they were supposed to be in that game against Cleveland. They were not the whole way. And then you got the Ravens, even though they put up a win and they limited Houston to very few points, it was still a pretty poor performance from Lamar Jackson, and we'll see how they look if they get their star tight end Mark Andrews back this week. So that one is definitely one to target, stacking-wise. And then looking down here, you got a lot of the games that are now getting to the 44-point total, so nothing you're looking to stack, really. Going back over to DraftKings, we'll go same exact format, position by position. So quarterback plays, you got Mahomes. That game, like I mentioned, is going to be one to target if you're looking to stack. $8,300 is a pretty big price tag. We still gave you 20 fantasy points because gave you 45 rushing yards, even though he only threw for 226. And if Kelce is back, like I think he will be, definitely is a good one to stack. But I think you can also go a lot cheaper with Trevor Lawrence for $1,600, and he's going to be throwing a lot. And he's at home as well. So save some money, go with him. You know who to stack him with, which is Calvin Ridley. Top-end quarterbacks, I probably like Lamar to bounce back. Like him more than Josh Allen for a couple hundred less. And then Fields is probably my least favorite, even though Tampa's defense, Kirk Cousins threw for a lot through the air, but Fields isn't really known to be a great passer yet. Maybe he'll have to break a couple of big runs. Herbert, 7K. He's fine, but I like going down to Trevor Lawrence at 67 is probably my favorite guy in the mid-range. Top end, probably rank it Lamar, Mahomes, Allen. And I'm not really on Fields. I don't think I'm really going to be on Herbert on the road against Tennessee. The Tennessee still has a pretty good defense. And we'll see if hopefully Mike Williams is able to come back. I don't think, believe he returned to the game in week 1, so nothing really unless something pops up throughout the week. Value-wise, 62 for Jared Goff. If you want to stack him with St. Brown, you could see that. You have Daniel Jones. People are probably going to be scared to play him, but perfect bounce-back spot for him and that offense, which going to Arizona against the Cardinals defense, which did play well against the Commanders in week 1, but they're not expected to do much all season, and the Commanders starting Howell, it's Daniel Jones has had way more experience than Sam Howell as a starter. Below $6,000, not looking to target Matthew Stafford against that tough 49ers defense. Purdy showed pretty good stuff in week 1, but I'm still Not going to be looking to target him at that price tag. I'd rather just get up to some people that I think are safer. Geno Smith is 59. Just not too in love with him. He's fine, but I think I can find better options. And then you're looking at value pieces. Nothing really sticks out. I don't think I'm going to recommend Zach Wilson to anybody, but he's 49 if you wanted to take a shot. But that would be very risky, and I'm not looking to play him at all. Running backs for this week, you got a couple that have the Q tag. Those are both that could have been even higher scores for our fantasy teams on Sunday with Aaron Jones and Eckler dealing with injuries. Jones didn't play after he left in the third quarter the rest of the way, so that's probably more likely to miss just because it's super early in the season, and he's going to be a big part of their offense going forward, and hamstring are super tricky. Looking at the stud running backs, I mean, Bijan, even though he lost 2 rushing touchdowns to Tyler Algier, he still played a good percentage of their snaps. So looking at snap counts from week 1, you're looking at Bijan was still out there for 63% of the snaps, which is good to see. They do not really want to trust Ritter throwing the ball much, so he threw under 20 times in that game. He still got 16 touches for Bijan, and he looked nasty breaking off that touchdown reception. So I like Bijan at 79, like him more than Eckler, especially if he's banged up. I like him more than McCaffrey as well for 1,000 less, even though McCaffrey did break off that big run. Pollard against the Jets defense. Jets are going to be very good defensively. That's going to be what's going to keep them in games until Zach Wilson miraculously turns it around, or they bring in another quarterback, which I think is what's going to be what happens. 71 for Josh Jacobs. Now this one didn't put up numbers, but their team still won. Tougher matchup against Denver. Not the easiest going to Buffalo as well, but you like to see that. He got 21 touches in week 1, 19 carries, and you only got a few touches for everybody else. So he was actually the fourth highest percentage of team snaps out of all running backs in week 1, behind McCaffrey, Connor, and Etienne. It's funny about McCaffrey because they so much talk heading into the season that they're going to limit his workload early, which proved to not be the case, which is just another way that coaches definitely lie, and they shake things up, and they're just trying to put stuff out there, trying to make teams believe them. But from right now, running backs, so with some of the questionable tags at the top end, I think Bijan is a really good play. I like Josh Jacobs to bounce back at 7,100. And I don't think Josh Jacobs is going to get much ownership. ETN looked good in week 1. You can definitely, if you're looking at a Jacksonville stack, I like him at his price at $6,900. Questionable tag on Jones. If he plays and there's no limitation, he looks great. If he's out, want to look to lock in on A.J. Dillon at $5,900. Looking below 65, I mean, Gibbs is risky just because you don't know how much targets and how much carries he'll get. Seemed like they really wanted to go to David Montgomery a lot, especially getting bulk of the carries and inside the red zone. Near the goal lines, it's probably going to be Montgomery, so a little bit of risk there. And then you're looking at the 2 Cook brothers. Both have, Cook has a tougher match. Dalvin has a tougher matchup against the Dallas defense. And then James Cook, I like him a little bit more against Las Vegas. But 59 for Dillon would be a great play. Take a shot on Breece Hall in tournaments if you wanted to. And then Cam Akers somehow ended up with 21 carries, 22 carries, 29 yards. So what a terrible performance. But can't believe he even got to that number after his first half where he barely got carries and looked like to be the second running back on the team. On the depth chart, I'm loving Kenneth Walker at 58 going up against Detroit. You're getting a running back that's going to be playing a bulk of the team's snaps. They didn't give much work to DJ Dallas, didn't give much work to Zach Charbonnet, so we saw Kenneth Walker be almost similar to Bijan in snap count, 63% in week 1. He only got 12 carries because the team was down. They lost by 17 to the Rams, so second half was a lot of throwing, especially the fourth quarter. Encouraging that he got 5 targets and 4 receptions, and somehow only got 3 yards out of that, but typically you're going to see higher number there, and then he's going to be utilized in red zone. So they only scored 1 touchdown with that DK Metcalf. Going to score more against Detroit, so in a dome, I like Kenneth Walker at 58. This looks like a great value, especially when you're looking at other guys in his range, like concerns with Akers, concerns with Pierce. You have concerns with Williams when he's going to get his full workload. Everybody else really has concerns here. White just didn't really look good when he got his touches. Gus Edwards, he's probably going to be him and Hill are going to split carries. We'll see who gets the bulk of it, so risk there. And right now, those are my top running backs to look at. I don't think below 5K there's anybody, unless injuries pop up, that you're going to be looking to play. Wide receivers, it's definitely a slate where you have nobody above 8K, so you're going to be able to fit in a couple of these guys. 1, 2. Diggs against Las Vegas looked really good. The Jets defense was not able to slow Diggs down week 1, so he's a fine play. Personally, I'm going to a guy that's going to be in a prime bounce back spot. A lot of people will see that 29 from Diggs and play him, which is fine, and people will see the 9 from Chase and just go to Diggs. But Chase is going to bounce back. He's not going to have as poor performance as he did in week 1. That whole team will not, and Burrow's probably going to have one of his better games, I think. Big bounce back spot at home, going up against the Ravens. Chase has had some great games against the Ravens in his career, going back to a couple of 2021 and 2022. Had a 200-yard game in there, 2 100-plus yard games in there, plus that 200, so 3 games of over 100 yards. He's had a couple touchdowns against them, and I think he's probably going to be looking at 100-plus receiving yards. I'm looking at his overs a lot. I think he'll find his way into the end zone, and like I mentioned, I think this game is going to be higher scoring, so it's one that I'm looking to target. So I like Chase, especially when you have Lamb in a tougher spot against the Jets defense. When you have Devontae Adams, we'll see tougher spot too against the Bills defense, and then just a different story with Garoppolo. He's not as likely to take deep shots like he was used to with Rodgers, and then he was getting with Derek Carr last year. And then if I'm playing Trevor Lawrence, I'm looking to stack him with somebody, and that somebody's going to be a Calvin Ridley. So if you're looking at the snap counts for the receivers in week number 1, Van Jefferson did absolutely nothing, but he led all receivers with 92.6% of snaps. You're looking at the other guys that was actually not sorted. So Devontae Smith played 99% of snaps. You're getting Chase playing 96%. These are just guys that just don't come off the field much at all. And we're looking at Calvin Ridley here. So Ridley, see if I can just search for him. He still played 81% of snaps, which is encouraging, and they look really, really good out there. In those, he looked like the clear number 1, so the fact that he still got you 11 targets. Christian Kirk was a guy that took a big back seat for them, and it kind of was happening in the preseason where they were putting him in the slot, so it seems like they're content with going with Ridley and Zay Jones on the outside. It's going to lead to some lesser snaps for Kirk, which is going to benefit the targets for Calvin Ridley. So against Kansas City, game that I think will be high scoring, I think those two make for a great stack, and they're not even that expensive for Ridley, especially when you got like Adams and Wilson and some other guys that have tougher matchups. Keenan Allen is fine against Tennessee, but 71, I'd rather get to Ridley. Looking at below 7K, I like Hopkins. 13 targets for him. They just couldn't score much against the Saints defense. He's going to get the looks, and we saw how bad the Chargers defense can be when a quarterback's clicking. Now, Tannehill hasn't been clicking in some time, but now he has a big weapon in Hopkins, so we'll see if that changes. 67, I think, is definitely worth some shots. Mid 6K range, Pittman against Houston, easy matchup for them. And it looks like Richardson's going to play, and Richardson did look good, so probably a good chance to put up a decent game. Ayuk 58 looks good just with how cheap he is. Seems like he's going to get a chance to be the number 1 receiver for them and have Samuel kind of be that. Still be a great receiver, but seems like Ayuk might take a big step up this year based on training camp and based on week 1, which is still got not a big enough sample size to judge. Value-wise, Sutton at 54 looks good if Judy is out again. Jacoby Myers is questionable. That would benefit Adams a little bit. It would probably benefit Hunter Renfrow as well. Zay Flowers looked great. He got 10 targets almost solely. He got such a high percentage of their target share. So out of the 17 passes that Lamar completed, 9 went to Zay Flowers. So over 50% there for him. You got Nakua and you got Tutu Atwell. Tough spots for both of them, but Van Jefferson's not going to do anything. One of them's going to have a decent game, if not both. Well, probably tough for both to put up 100-plus yards against a 49ers defense, but I like Tutu. 47, he's just run so many routes, and he's just on the field a ton. Want to go with the cheap Lawrence stack, throw in Zay Jones at 47, and going for further value pieces here. Like I said, Renfrow at 39 looks decent. Below 4K, you could look to Mims. You could look to Jaden Reed, I think I passed on one of the better values, which is Dobbs, especially if Watson's not able to suit up. 4 catches, 2 touchdowns for Dobbs. Looked to be one of Love's first options when he was throwing touchdowns and in the red zone. So that's encouraging, and I don't think Watson is gonna play. So if that's the case, that could also be a sneaky game stack. So he himself didn't commit to taking the field. So if the player is saying he's not going to be out there, it's probably looking a little bit bleak for him. Tight ends, you got 2 Q tags. Your 2 top tight ends have both played. They're both in great spots. Both look good. I'm looking for values here. Higbee still a good play at 46. You can go with Ingram and stack up the Jags offense. I'm looking at Sam Laporta, though, as a great value at $3,900. He rookie tight end that played just a huge role for the Lions in week 1, and he played a big percentage of their snaps. He had the 8th highest snap counts for tight ends, 82%, so that's super encouraging. Not only that, but he gave you 5 receptions, so 5 for 5 could be utilized in red zone situations and touchdowns, especially because the Lions don't have any top second receiver besides St. Brown's in number 1, but Reynolds and Marvin Jones are not really going to cut out for it. And then defenses for this week, I am looking down here below 3,000. The Bears look decent. Defense to target. You could look to the Cardinals to put up some points against Daniel Jones and that Giants offense, which still has a lot of work to do. You're looking above $3,000. I'm going to be targeting. Potentially, you could look to the Commanders, 31, but Russell Wilson looked better, much better than he did last year. Colts against Houston, and probably going to see some turnovers from C.J. Stroud. We didn't see any from him in week 1. And the same thing, you could go with the Houston defense, but I'd rather just save a couple, go with the Colts defense if I was going to pay up. And then all the way at the top is obviously the Cowboys defense against that terrible offensive line from New York, and Zach Wilson is probably going to give them a couple of turnovers, and Dallas defense is just nasty. So that's definitely the best defense to pay up for. Get value throughout the week. Maybe look to get to them. That's it for the first look on DraftKings. Let's look at FanDuel quickly. All right, on FanDuel, a lot of different pricing than on DraftKings, so it's a bit of a different look here. Starting at the quarterback position, I mean, you're getting Lamar at $7,600, which is just insane. So I love that price tag on Lamar. Going to be looking to target him. He's cheaper. He's way cheaper than Mahomes and Josh Allen, so he's already better value in my eyes. And then he's even cheaper than Lawrence, which I like, but Lawrence not going to give you rushing upside. He's a little bit cheaper than Fields, and I'm not that interested in Fields this week on the road. And then he's only 100 more than Daniel Jones, only 100 more than Richardson, than Dak Prescott, and all these guys that have tougher spots, except for like Joe Burrow in a bounce back spot. Just really cheap. Going to be looking to target him. Running backs, also, you guys got a pretty big difference in some salaries here. So first one that looks really appealing. You got guys above 9K, but I look to Eckler if he plays without limitations. 81 for Bijan, I still like. Pollard, tough spot. Etienne, I like him, but I don't know if I will like him for $8,200 when you can get to Bijan or Derrick Henry. I like Josh Jacobs for his price tag. A.J. Dillon, even if he gets a full workload, he's not super cheap like he is on DraftKings, so he's a better value there, but he's still playable. Kenneth Walker, 67, I like him a lot. Then I'm even taking the running back on the other side, which is Gibbs, even though there's some concerns about his playing time. However, I think as the season goes on, he's going to get more work, as that's kind of what the plan is for them. But the fact that he's cheaper than Justice Hill, than Matt Breida, than Gus Edwards, than Kyron Williams, same price as Herbert and Pacheco and Deion, barely above Deion Jackson. Just too cheap for a guy that does give you upside. He's going to have touchdowns. He still gave you 9 touches, so you're probably going to expect that number to go across 10, so double digits touches expected. Just too cheap on FanDuel. And then receivers got a different pricing structure, so Ridley's the second most expensive guy, so I like him a lot more on DraftKings. I'm also not playing Lawrence on FanDuel, so I'm not looking to stack. I don't need to feel like I need to stack with Lawrence, so Lamar's a guy that you can play by himself with his rushing upside. So Chase, looking to do kind of what I did last week, just build across a couple stud receivers. And Chase and Diggs, I like them a lot. So I'm considering Diggs or St. Brown. It's a little bit close, but I think Chase is my favorite receiver of the week. expecting to have a big performance. Looking in the 7K range, you got like Devontae Adams. Wilson's going to be tough to play. Ayuk is too pricey. Hopkins looks good for his value. 6K range, Sutton, Zay Flowers, Dobbs, just for his price if there's no Watson again. Zay Jones if you're looking to save 2K from Ridley. And you got some guys down here in some bounce back spots like a DJ Moore. Tight end wise, looking at the cheaper range because you got some guys at 5K that are just super affordable. First couple that look good are Dalton Kincaid, 52. He looks like he's going to get his targets and opportunities this year. Kmet, just because he's not going to really come off the field. He had like 97% of snaps in week 1, so that's encouraging. But then I'm looking at Laporta and Higbee for the pricing. I think Laporta is a really good play. Higbee and then even Musgrave is going to get targets. So a lot of guys here that are going to get work. Ferguson dropped the touchdown. So 5K range is pretty loaded at tight end. And then defense, always scroll down to the bottom first. A couple that look appealing. Could talk me into the Rams defense. You could definitely talk me into the Texans against Richardson. You got, not looking at the Jets much, but they're there. They're pretty affordable. And if you wanted to go all the way up, obviously the Cowboys are the best, and they're not even that expensive at 45. Like, they should far and away be the top defense of the week. But on FanDuel, they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 because the pricing came out before that Rodgers injury. So that's what I got for you guys for the first look. Thank you for watching. Best of luck. Leave questions, comments in the in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you all next time.